Music. I love that intro. Good afternoon, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are
I
you?
am alive and kicking. All right. This is the David Washington Show. With me again is my political godfather, politico, and attorney, Jimmy Auffant.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Good. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Good evening. Whatever it is to you. But this is the David Washington Show, and Jimmy and I, over the last 2 weeks, have been examining the Democratic Party of Florida and what we believe the Democratic Party needs to do to improve, to be relevant again. And I'm going to run through the last 10 points that we addressed in the last 2 weeks, and then we're going to get to points 11 through 15. So, point one, uniting the party. Point two, new party leadership, which we do have.
Yes, thank
Nikki
God we do.
Freed. Nikki Freed. We can discuss a little bit later if that's the leadership that the party needs right now, but we'll discuss that in a bit. Number three, go back to the grassroots. Four, listen to the base. Five, fight for every vote. Six, invest in our youth. Seven, run hyper localized campaigns. Eight, build an army of small dollar donors. Nine, long term planning. 10, stand up to DeSantis and the Republicans. And here we go into the next five. Point 11, do not anticipate that the party will come to your rescue.
All right. So I'm going to make it a little bit different.
Okay.
Our party in the last 25 years has never cultivated, never gone out to find a candidate, educated him, or prepare him. And there I have to give credit to the Republican Party. Granted that DeSantis came this time and took what was supposedly to be Rick Scott's successor and threw him out and put him back in the farm. And literally, I mean, put him back in the farm. And they took over the party, which is something that the Democrats have never allowed that to happen. But at this point, I think it's time to take some youth and some other people and cultivate them and make them into candidates, help them, educate them, assess them, and basically at that point say, hey, you are a candidate for District 48 of the House, you're a candidate for District 14 of the Senate, and do that as realistically, all the candidates have fallen in the lap of the party. The party never educated them, never has helped them, but always complain if they don't follow what they consider traditional patterns of things. They assume that African Americans, Hispanics, are going to vote for them, so that you don't need to work that. So at the same time, they have not worked the way they need to. So at this party, it's not only that they're not going to come to your rescue, they might be your biggest enemy.
Wow, that's saying a lot. In my experience with the party, they've come at a bad time when the candidate and the campaign is already in full motion, strategy is in place, moving forward, and then they want to come in and say, "Hey, we want to help out," or "Hey, maybe you want to do this instead of that." Hey, we can help, but we have no money and we have no other resources. We can't give you anyone to, knock on doors with you or anything like that. It's like, okay, so what is it can you do for a Democrat who's running for office?
Okay, now we need to make a distinction here.
Okay.
If you're going to talk about the local parties, you're correct.
Oh, local and the statewide party.
The statewide party never gets involved in any local races. They avoid them as the plague. And I mean that seriously. They avoid it as a plague. They might get into what you would consider statewide races, such as Senate and governor, but basically, I wouldn't call they come to your rescue. They will be there to tell you what their consultants, who charge them an arm and a leg, told them you should be doing, and wasting your time and your money.
Right.
But to your rescue, they're not going to come. As a matter of fact, the biggest example of that was when Graham lost to Gilliam. They had put all their assets into Gilliam, and they did not know how to help out Gideon at all.
Right.
And by the time they realized what they could have done, it was too late.
I remember working the campaign during that particular race when Gillum was running for governor and expecting a little bit more from the Gillum coordination. There was no, it seemed like there was no specific strategy in particular for the Hispanic voters, the Latino voters in Orange County.
And in any county, they just take it for granted that we're going to vote as Democrat. Why? I have
Right.
no idea, but they assume that. And unfortunately, the ones who are working the Hispanic community are the Republicans. It's not the Democratic Party. So, with all due respect to everybody, no, it's not going to work. But hopefully, I have some hope that maybe this time we do things differently.
I do understand that the party does not get involved with does not officially get involved with candidates during the primary. Allegedly, if there are more than one Democrat in the primary seeking the nomination, the party does not get involved. I wish that would change, to be honest.
Oh, and I'll give you a bad example of that, but a true one. When Bernie was running against Hillary, our chairman, and all the officials elected of the Florida Democratic Party had endorsed her prior to the race, and in her paperwork appeared that the chairman had endorsed Hillary Clinton. So when they say they stay out,
they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
And I hate to say this, not only that caused a division among the youth that is to this day still harsh.
And Jimmy, I just wish they'd be honest about it. You know, the bullshit that was told to me, oh, no, we don't, just be honest. That's all. Just be upfront and be honest. If you're not going to back my candidate, then say so. Just be honest. I don't want to find out from talking to other campaigns, other operatives, other politicals that, yes, this is what they're doing, or find out in the newspaper or whatever. I think it's embarrassing for the party. I believe that if there was more transparency, there'll be more trust for the FDP and the local DECs. That's just how I feel. That's just how I feel. That's what I believe.
I agree.
The next point, own your own voter marketing data and do your own damn research. And I added this because in the past, when I started the political work here in Florida, there was NGP VAN, the Democratic Party's voter database that was used to identify voters and have voter outreach to message to voters. And I learned over time that this is the same voter database that every other Democratic candidate had access to, right, even if it was, another Democrat in the same race,
correct,
as you are. And I thought to myself, as I built my political practice, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be better data, better use of the data for the strategies that I customize for my clients. And so I decided to make the investment in a voter database that my firm purchased that gives me a lot more voter marketing data than NGP VAN, than what the Democrats can offer. And it allowed me to create my own algorithms for specifically targeting those voters that I believe would vote for my candidate. And I found that very successful in our strategies and also in winning. And so when I add this particular point about owning your own data, and our data is available to our clients, owning your own data, doing your own research, creating your own algorithms, your own plan, instead of the cookie cutter databases that are available, whether it's for the Democratic Party, field elect for the Republicans, but having access to data that it's more rich in information, data points. Makes a difference.
Oh, and I could prove it in 2 points. One, you have to understand that this is made up by the party to make money. One of the things I've always said is, instead of wasting money on consultants, why don't we pay for the van statewide out of the party, use that same money for that, and say, hey, you're a Democrat, you're running, here's the van for free. Now, if you want to do that, like there was an appetite for it once you became the official Democratic candidate. While you were in primary, there was no appetite for it, and I understand that. But let's get this clear. You're talking about something that I'm going to prove how effective it can be. 4 years ago, well, really 3 years ago, we ran a campaign in this county about clean water and about split oak. Now, let's clarify this. Who ran that campaign was the environmentalist groups. It was not the party. The party did not lift a finger to protect the environment. And I'm going to say that. They didn't lift a finger to protect the. Oh, some of the members of the party were in the group with us? Definitely.
Correct.
But the party, no. So what did they have? They have a database algorithm of people who are pro-environment.
Correct.
And they contacted them, and they asked them to contact their friends. And these were the two last things on the ballot. Okay, they were the two last thing, and they got 86 and 84% of the vote. With all due respect to everybody, that's the way of the future. You do not need to pay the party for a system that's antiquated. And last but not least, do you remember the scandal between Hillary and Bernie because the firework fell down?
Yes, I remember.
With all due respect, I talked to some of the youth, and they told some of the youth, and they told me, "What firework? That's very easy to take down." And that's why I've always had a concern, because if you're running against another Democrat, they could get a young kid who's a hacker, and in a matter of 10 minutes, take down that firewall and find out all your information.
Exactly.
And that's the scary part. But all of a sudden, there was a scandal because the kids from Bernie did it, and they were like, "Hey, we got all this information."
Right.
For them, that was second nature to do that, and it was a way to try to discredit Bernie, and I found that extremely interesting. But the truth of the matter is that the system is antiquated. It was created under the Obama people in 2008, and that's 15 years ago. And for those of you who do not understand, software 15 years old is obsolete.
Right. And there are some advantages. There are some benefits to NGP VAN, the Democrats' voter database. There are apparatuses within NGP that allows fundraising, creating email lists and things like that. I get that. Those are very good pieces. They have their canvassing app that connects with the voter database. That's great. You can make phone calls using the software. That is excellent. That's great. However, when it's garbage in, you get garbage out. And the voter database itself is lacking. It's lacking what the possibilities can be when you own your own data and able to use that data to your benefit. And I see some benefits to NGP VAN, but overall it's something that I just couldn't rely on to give me the answers, to give me the voters that I can specifically target with specific messages for this particular time in the campaign.
And it doesn't allow you to create pro-environmentalist group, anti-environmental group, people who are, for them, education is number one issue. For people who work, is that's where the van lacks the most. How do I address? Because not everybody thinks the same way. You might I've always thought of, you might want to create one for. You did a survey, and John said for his answer, the most important thing was education. Well, bingo. Hit them with everything about education.
Right.
Don't hit them with immigration. Don't hit them with about environment because it's not its number one
Exactly.
issue.
Our data, we're able to specify the type of voter we're looking for, whether it's someone who leans towards environmental issues, someone who's likely a supporter of a particular interest, who would give money towards that particular interest, or likely to give money to our candidate. Our database covers all of Florida, and so actually all of America, and so we're able to find out for our candidates who would likely support the type of candidate that we're working for with actual dollars. And NGB Van did not give us that.
Exactly. And there's no effort to improve it.
That's right. That's
Okay.
it.
So
All right.
what do we have next?
Our next point is plan at least 18 months ahead for individual campaigns. And I say 18 months ahead because there's so much work that goes into an effective winning campaign. And I see very recently people jump into a campaign, want to start a campaign 6, 8 months away from the election, and think that people actually know who they are, will support what they're saying, and have very little involvement in their communities. Even there are legislators, electeds, who the regular Joe, the regular Jane don't even know who they are. They don't know who their state rep is. They don't know who their county commissioner is, their soil and water commissioner. They don't know who's on the charter review committee. So how would someone expect the electorate to know who they are when they jump into a race 6 to 8 months prior to an election? It takes time and building relationships and raising money and meeting the voters where they're at. And for an effective campaign, I believe 18 months is that sweet spot to get out there and start your strategy.
So basically, you're saying that the upcoming election of 2024, we're March 2nd.
That's correct.
And you're saying to the people that have not filed for Districts 5,
Correct.
have not filed for any of the constitutional officers that are up for election right now,
That's correct.
other than the supervisor of election, who, for the record, announced that he's not seeking
That's
re-election.
correct. That's correct.
So there, I would give credit to one person or two that have announced. Okay.
The property appraiser, she filed for re-election.
Yes.
So she's the only constitutional officer
Yes.
who has filed.
Has filed. Some of them are close to term limits out too also, but be that as it may, if you're going to seek an election, you should be doing it now. Look, District 1, there's already somebody filed against.
That's correct. Triple A is his nickname. I gave him that nickname, but
He filed.
Austin Andrew Author is his name.
And for the record, and for disclosure, I'm supporting Nicole Wilson.
Okay.
So just so if anybody wonders, okay.
The current commissioner.
The current commissioner. Not 3, I don't think anybody's filed against MIDA, but then you have 5 who really is empty at this state, and it's kind of interesting what's going to happen. But you're right. Not only getting to meet your people, getting name recognition,
Yes.
going to community meetings,
Yes.
going to talk to the people who are important in the district, going and meeting with them, seeing them, listening to what they have to say,
Correct.
listening to what is important to them, to see if you agree with them, if you can support what's important to them. Because I've had some people tell me things that are important to them that there's no way I'm supporting.
Right.
But what it is as it is effect. I think you should do that. But here's where I think the party can help. When I was secretary, people thought that I pushed for something that was done statewide, which was cost us $75,000, which was a survey of what was important to Hispanics in Florida.
Okay.
Immigration came out number 13. Just for the record. The
Sure.
top 10, it was
Understand.
not there. Crime was in the top 10. Number 1 was education.
Correct.
Number 2 was job opportunities. Number 3, believe it or not, was the end of racism. What a surprise.
Okay.
4, if my memory serves me right, it was housing and so on and so on. Why would that be important? Because that way, when you're trying to be a candidate and you're trying to reach your Hispanics, you might not want to talk to a Puerto Rican about immigration. We don't have an immigration issue.
No.
We're born U.S. citizens.
Correct.
But I see a lot of candidates talk about. At the same time, talking against immigration is not a wise thing if you wanted to get Hispanic vote. At the same time, sometimes you might want to listen to what other people have to say. And that way you could tell a candidate,
Definitely.
you're in District 5, for example. I'll give you the district I live in. If you're going to go in District 5 and say you're pro-development, there's no way you're going to get elected.
Ouch. You can ask Ted Edwards that.
Yes. But if you say you're pro-environmental, you have half of the battle won.
Correct.
And the thing that it is interesting is that people go out and don't understand that, yes, there's 6 districts, but they're not the same. For example, District 5 is the one with the least amount of Hispanics, contrary to public belief. 6 has more Hispanics than 5. But that doesn't mean that you could go to Bithlo and not find a bunch of Puerto Rican families.
Of course.
So you need to understand what is important and what is relevant. And the state party and the county party can do these surveys and say, if you're going to run, these are the issues that are important to these people. No cost to you. You just save yourself a bunch of money. So you have to ask for less money. Hey, by the way, these are the churches in that area that will allow you to go and talk to them. These are the leaders in the area these are the people in the area that might be able to donate to you because they have interest in it. Here's your homework. Just be a candidate. That would cost the party something, yes, but that's your function.
Exactly, and that builds the party. That establishes the party more within the community. And unfortunately, those things are not happening, and it's incumbent upon the individual campaigns and candidate to do that. Thus, one of the reasons why they should start as early as 18 months.
Because they're not going to get any help from the local party unless something major changes.
Exactly. Our next point is implementing the lean campaign model. And this is a particular favorite of mine because it's something that I created when I had Myers in Washington, and it's carried through to Jay in Washington. And this particular model is based on the lean model for creating a business and project management. And I believe that if you treat a campaign as if you're creating a small business, an upstart, and plan accordingly, you're more successful in achieving your goal of winning your campaign. And so saying that, you approach a campaign as if you're building a small business, and the CEO is, of course, the candidate, and you have different officers in that organization, your campaign manager, your fundraiser, your data person, your field director. Those individuals make
your accountant, so you don't
your
get in trouble.
accountant, your
So you don't get in
attorney,
trouble.
your attorney.
Yeah.
And so you have those pieces all working together for one goal. And so your CEO, the candidate, their main responsibility, I believe very strongly about, is to raise money and to network. Their job is to get out there, shake hands, create relationships, meet the people where they are, talk to the influencers in the community, be out there, stay on message, and do what a candidate is supposed to do. And raise money, and raise more money, and raise more money on top of that. Those are their two main goals. Everyone else has their role. And I project manage my campaign. So you could go throughout the project plan and see who's responsible for a specific task, what it costs, what resources are needed for that specific task, and what the goals are. A very simple plan that's available to the whole team to follow. There's a timeline, there's a calendar. It boils down to organization. That's the lean campaign model. And I believe if this was adopted by other campaigns.
From where you left off.
Okay, sorry everyone, we had some technical difficulties, but we are back. We were just talking about the lean campaign model, and I was just saying that this model um, could work for the Democratic Party, and it can work for just about any campaign. It's just a matter of organization.
And the, I want to tie this into back to the previous point.
Mhm.
If the Democratic Party helped you with, let's say, getting you some cheap yard signs, help you creating a marketing program that they found, because they say they go to, let's say, to Spectrum and say, we're going to bring you here 6 campaigns. What's your best price? And Spectrum
Right.
could work out a contract with them. If they could come up and say, hey, by the way, we are paying for your voter's ID. Hey, we have a way to take in your if you're going to send out flyers, we could help you with that. If the party helps you, it would be even become leaner, and your candidate would have to ask for less money. Because at this point, what the party has always thought of is that the candidates are to give the party money for the party to survive, instead of the party giving them money for them to win. So it is something that is important. And the 18 months, I agree with you wholeheartedly, because 6 months prior, if you have a strong Republican candidate, he or she has been putting out her publicity months before you, and you're going to try to catch up. And if you're not going to be aggressive, like saying, hey, that person lies about this or lies about that, or let me show you her in the Trump campaign, what she said and what she said in the past, and get into a real dogfight, you're not going to win.
I agree with you, Jimmy. And the Republicans have made it clear, extremely clear. The GOP, Florida GOP leader, Chris Ziegler, has made it clear that he's not letting off the gas. He is coming after the Democrats. He is grateful that the Democrats have hired Nikki Fried to be their leader, because Nikki Fried is the best thing that's happened to the Republicans. They will go after her. They will make her job as difficult as possible and make sure that she is not successful. So that kind of vitriol is pretty strong and pretty serious. And I hope that the local and state leadership is ready to take on the Republicans. We'll see.
I hope so too. And let me say something. It's kind of interesting that for the first time in the last 25 years, the Republicans are afraid of our chair. In the past,
You sure?
it didn't. Oh yes, there's
This chair, from what Ziegler has said, and I have a quote here from him. He was interviewed by City and State Florida, and they said, let me just pull it up here. He said, he was interviewed, 5 questions. The Florida Democratic Party also has elected a new chair. You have been critical of her on social media. What are your thoughts on the Democrats' decision to elect Nikki Fried as their new chair? And the GOP, chair said, she's made my job a lot easier. We're not going to let off the gas, but as the Republican Party of Florida chairman, I could not think of a better person to lead the Democratic Party at this point. I look forward to watching her struggle and watching her fail on the Democrat side.
Well, that's an easy prediction. The last 5 chairmen have failed and have struggled. That's a statement that you could have made of the past 5. As a matter of fact, the last one was from Miami, and we lost Miami. So, yeah, so she can't do any worse. Let's start by that. But let me put it why I say he's afraid of her. He's attacking her. Why is he attacking her? Because he knows if he leaves her alone, that the Democrats might unite and screw over the Republicans in this state. By the way, for registration, let's get this clear. There's more Democrats registered in Florida than there are Republicans. As a matter of fact, in Orange County, there's more independents than Republicans.
Correct.
By not a large margin, but there are. So with all due respect, if you think your job is going to be easier, I wish you take that position, because you're going to be screwed like you have never been screwed. Because once DeSantis leaves this state to go to Washington, this tape is up for grabs because he's left no leadership behind him. He has left nobody with the balls that he has, and the people that are surrounding him are a bunch of morons, including him.
Chairman,
Whoa,
Chairman Ziegler, the gauntlet has been thrown down. There's the challenge.
I'll take you today, tomorrow, next week. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Nikki was the right person. We cannot continue to elect people who are going to continue failing and who are the part of the establishment, who are part of the group, who are going to just do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 25 years and expect a different result. The Democratic Party in Florida has demonstrated that Einstein is correct. We have done the same thing for the last 25 years,
Correct.
expecting a different result, and it's never happened. And so either we do something drastic, because if we still do what we used to do in the past, I would agree with Ziegler. The job would be easier. But Nikki's going to be challenged. Nikki's going to go forward, and Nikki might be the person we need because Nikki has no problem calling a spade a spade.
Okay. All right. There it is. Nikki, you have a champion in Jimmy. Our final point for today. Using political committees and political action committees more efficiently in investing in fundraising. This pretty much, says it all. The fuel of a campaign is the money invested. And that's why I call it. Donating to a political campaign is an investment in your community, is an investment in your family, it's an investment in that candidate and the things that particular person believes in that aligns with you. Your thoughts?
Well, let's start from the beginning. For the last 20 years, the Republican Party has these PACs, and they will put ads out for 3 different candidates, and they will alternate them. And that's how they did them. The other way is they would put ads saying how bad Charlie Crist was, and what was our response? We had no response. I'm sick and tired of seeing us say, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. Oh, no, you cannot go that way. That's negative. You know what? Yes, let's go negative. Yeah, let's create some PACs that will take down and call the Republican Party the party of the against education, the party that's homophobic, the party that is anti-Hispanic, anti-African American, anti everything that you could think of, and by the way, anti free market, because of not ask Disney what they did, because Disney had an opinion. They decided they could take Disney down. Well, guess what? They did. Why? Because people here have lacking a backbone. And by the way, just to terminate and say this will be the first ad I would put out. The first ad I would put out if I had a PAC would be a very simple one. By the way, do you know that under the laws created by DeSantis, you have to, and this is, if you're a teacher, tell what books you have in your libraries. And if they don't go with their accord, they can have them removed. And there was a recommendation to remove the book about the life of Roberto Clemente. But DeSantis was smart to say, no, don't touch that one. But there was a move to take it down.
That's correct.
So there's a lot of African-American history that's been taken down, and there's a lot of books. The last time they were checking books for teachers, that was Adolf Hitler in the 30s in Germany. And I'll call you out. That is against education. Look, the book is there. The kid wants to read it. He can read it. He doesn't want to read it. He doesn't read it. But basically, telling what could be in the library and what cannot be is not woke. It is worse than woke. Woke is criticizing what people did in the past. This is trying to influence the future for people to think the way you want them to think. That's mind controlling. That's the first ad I would put if I had a PAC.
All right. If more Democratic candidates were as passionate as Jimmy just now, perhaps we would see different outcomes. And that's what it's all about for Democrats. Outcomes. And it's sad that the Democrats are in the space that they're in right now. However, with the new leadership, with the Democratic Party here in Florida, maybe that's on this way to changing.
By the way, just for the record, we're doing the first 10 were from
Yes,
Sammy's.
that's right.
The next 10 were yours.
That's correct.
And we're going to do it my 5. So,
Yes.
And if you think I was passionate today, wait till you see my 5.
Excellent. We've got the 15 through 20 or 16 through 20 next week or the next time we meet. And then we got yours. I'm
My
looking
5.
forward to it.
Yes.
Excellent. Hey, this has been the David Washington Show. I want to thank Jimmy again for participating and for being here at the Oxford Sports Pub and Secret Society here in Altamont Springs, Altamont Mall. Please come by, enjoy the food, enjoy the comfortable. Look at these chairs, the comfortable accommodations. We really appreciate it. Chris, the manager, Ben, the owner, thank you so much. Please like, share, hit the notification button, spread the word about the David Washington Show. Spread the word about You Can't Make This Shit Up, our flagship show, The Morning Constitution, by my partner in business, Joel Hawksley. And remember, we've got Political Salsa debuting on Twitter Spaces March the 3rd, Friday, March the 3rd. So you want to be a part of that. Again, this is the David Washington Show. I'm your host, David Washington. Jimmy, thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll see you the next time.